So bi-weekly check-in for our grow kits. Everything's looking really great. I'm gonna start off looking at our cucumbers. They're doing pretty happy, starting to come over the edge of the bin here. At home, you can try to trellis these guys up. They do have little tendrils that'll grab onto stuff. You can see tiny little cucumber flowers showing up, which is really great. So probably about 2 weeks time, you'll have some cucumbers. I've also got a little basil plant that snuck its way into my pot, so I'm just gonna let that grow and I'll have some basil in mine, a little extra. And then I've got my peas, which are doing great. We've got a couple that are starting to latch on to our poles here. I've got one guy that has missed the mark, and we're gonna string this pea plant up here. You can just kind of gently wrap them around the pole and make sure that the tendrils here that they've got are starting to hook onto stuff here. You can kind of see that they'll curl around, but if you put them on close to one of the poles, they should naturally just latch on. Beets are doing really well here. They're getting kind of tall. You could thin these out now and cook these little greens up or put them in a salad. It'd be really tasty. Give some of your beets some more space, or you can just leave them. You'll still get beets. I've got my kale here looking nice. Getting a couple bug bites, so not too many. It's great. You can take your kale and maybe pull out the one in the very middle, giving them a little bit more space. Have yourself a little salad. My beans, I'm not doing too well on my bean pot over here. I got one really nice bean that's growing, something munching the leaf here, but my other beans that I replanted last week didn't really come up, and I had one come up and it's missing its leaves. So I think something's been living in the pot, maybe having a snack too much, but my beans on the rest of the farm are doing really well. So hopefully this guy survives. He doesn't get munched all the way down. So that's the only thing really today, except for the tomatoes, which are doing really great. I've got some little flowers on it, means I'm gonna get some tomatoes pretty soon. Got lots of flowers in here in the greenhouse with our tomatoes, so it means we'll be seeing some stuff. Now, pruning tomatoes can be intimidating because you don't wanna over prune, but basically in the armpit of each of these branches here, you can see that the tomato will form another top to it. So it'll try to have as many tops as it can. Tomatoes like to form a bunch of tops and the plant falls over, and then all the tops root themselves and grow up. And you end up with 20 tomato plants out of one plant. But we don't want that. We want the plant to focus all of its energy rather than growing all these branches into the fruit and into itself. So we're gonna start pruning the tomato plant. You can kind of see down at the base here, this one right here, it looks like a whole other tomato plant. But yeah, you're gonna go as close as you can to the stem with a pair of scissors and snip that right off. Now you could take this and try to plant this in the soil next to it and see if you want to get another tomato plant. Some people do that. If you look really closely, there's tiny little hairs on your tomato plant, and this will actually start sprouting roots out of the side of its stem here if you take this little cutting. And some people do this. They'll clip all the cuttings and plant them, and they get more tomatoes. We're not going to do that. I already have a lot of tomatoes here on the farm, so we're just going to prune them. Get these two big guys off the bat, and then I'll show you the trickier one. So this is a little far. You know, we left this to show a really good example, but you can get ahead of this earlier because the plant has put a lot of energy and using a lot of nutrients into this growth. So you don't want to do that. So you can get these really early, and you just use your finger and your thumb and you can prune them. You're gonna have these main leaf branches that are gonna come out here, and I kind of call it the armpit. So you got your main stalk here, and then this main branch, and then usually this is what we call a sucker. And they'll come right out of the kind of armpit here where it meets the main branch. You don't want to trim this main branch. These branches are where the plant's going to get its sunlight and feed itself, but you really want to get in here. This one's small enough can do it with my fingers, but I will kind of trim it just to show. And then you're just going to clip that guy just like that. Don't worry about that. And you can go and find all those main branches and kind of follow your way down and get each one of those little suckers before it turns into a major stem. Yeah, so then you want to tie your tomato at this point. It's getting a little spindly. That's what this other pole is here for. And you're just going to find kind of your toughest branch here. It's coming off the side. Wrap it underneath of it, and you're just going to tie a gentle knot. You don't want to really tie it super tight up against the pole. Otherwise, when the tomato tries to grow up, it'll get choked out by the string. So just as gentle, just so it doesn't fall over. There you go. Awesome, thanks for joining us on our bi-weekly grow kit check-in. I hope your plants are doing really well. You can always send us a message. We'd love to see pictures of any of your plants that you're growing, even just a picture of you out on your balcony hanging out with your plant. Talk to you later.